Autumn or fall colour is a must-have in a garden, and I'm going to show you 5 of my spot-on plants for a reliable autumn colour. Hi, I'm Jane Moore. I'm a professional gardener and an author. And welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, click on the little button and click on the bell so that you get a notification every time I release a new video. Right, let's get going. Let's start with my number 1 autumn shrub, and that's Cotinus or smokebush. Why smokebush? Well, it's because it has these little fluffy flowers in the summer that look like little puffs of smoke. Well, at a distance anyway. I love these shrubs because they are just so totally reliable for autumn colour, and they're really hardy. As you can see, they can get quite big. But one of the great things about it is that you can coppice it right down to a stool at the bottom, at the ground, and it will just regrow every spring, producing even larger leaves, which then turn these fantastic autumn colours. Just look at these shades. Fabulous, isn't it? And some of them turn slightly darker shades, slightly more purples and things like this. This is one of my favourites. This is Cotinus grace. It's a bit of a sprawly grower, so it's a good one to coppice. But if you've got the room, just let it grow and it will become absolutely enormous and on fire in the autumn. A must-have for autumn colour is the Japanese maple or Acer japonicum. These are really sort of large shrubs or small trees, but they're so slow growing that they really aren't going to overtake your garden, and they are so beautiful. There is just nothing that beats them for autumn colour. Look at these leaves, they are just lovely. And if I can get you a shot with the light coming through. Isn't that lovely? Every bit as good as stained glass. The great thing about Japanese maples is they're really quite forgiving if you just remember a few things. They're really good in pots, they're really good in the ground, they need a bit of shade. They don't like to be in absolute baking full-on sun, but that shade can just be from another tree or another shrub, just giving them a little bit of light sort of dappled shade. That's what they like, don't we all? Of course, the great thing about shade is that we've nearly all got some, haven't we? Whether that's from a wall, another tree, or even a fence, these plants will absolutely enjoy that little bit of shade. As long as it's not too cold, as long as it's not too wet, just think of that dappled look, and that is what they'll thrive in. There are loads and loads of different varieties. I'm not even going to tell you which ones are my favourites because there are so many to choose from. Well, okay, I will. The one behind me is one called Bloodgood, and it really is a lovely tree for a small garden. The other one that I have at home is one with a very, very cut leaf. It's almost like a filigree, called Garnet, and that also gives you an idea of what colour it turns in the autumn too. Next up is the dogwood. I love all dogwoods. They all turn lovely colours in the autumn, and some of them are brilliant for their winter stems, but more on that later. This one is one of the flowering dogwoods behind me, and again it's sort of a small tree or twiggy shrub, and good for a small garden as well. One of the great things about these flowering dogwoods is you get 2 bites of the cherry, and when you've got a small garden, it needs to be something that is really going to give you some bang for your buck, and these dogwoods do. So these ones flower in late spring, early summer, and they have those beautiful white bracts, really sort of quite ethereal looking, but surprisingly robust. And after they flower, they don't really do much over the summer, but then in autumn, this is what you get. Good, aren't they? Looks like it should be a little bit fussy, and it's slow growing, so you can think that it might be, but actually they're not. They're real toughies. They don't really get any pest problems, they don't really get any disease problems, so really, what's not to like? Just look at these leaves, isn't it fantastic? This is the spindle tree, or euonymus, and it's a really easy growing plant, very, very vigorous. This is a variety called red wine, specially selected because it turns these rather fantastic autumn colours, but all the spindles turn really good colours. They're pretty vigorous. You've got to be a little bit careful about them. You need a bit of room for them. So if you've only got a small garden, I'd probably go for one of the cornus or the acer instead. But if you've got a bit more room to play with, and I have here, then euonymus is a really good bet for this fantastic autumn colour. My last plant isn't one shrub, but lots of them. This is a beech hedge that we've been planting at my work over the last year and a half. And although it's newly in, you can see it is absolutely setting the garden ablaze this autumn and fall. I love beech hedges because not only are they great for screening off the garden and dividing it up in much more of an organic, sort of natural way than, say, fences or walls do, but also they are brilliant for wildlife. In fact, all hedges are great for wildlife. Insects will feed off the leaves and the young growth and things like that, but also hedges make great cover for birds to nest in. If you've got a hedge, you're going to have birds nesting in it, believe me. The other great thing about beech I particularly like is that these leaves will dry into a sort of lovely crispy sort of brown, and they will just hang on the plants until spring. It's usually the new growth in the spring, the new green leaves just pushing through, that actually just forces these leaves off. And so actually you get sort of quite a bit of interest over the winter with these leaves just hanging there and making this sort of lovely rustling noise as you go into the winter. Well, that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.